Good morning, everyone. It's nice to hear that echo back. I am the Reverend Ellen Quaadgras, serving in co-ministry here at South Church with Kirsten Hunter, our Director of Lifespan Ministry, and serving in shared ministry with all of you. I want to welcome you to worship this morning, whether you are online or here in person. I'm glad to see you as we join together from our separate spaces, from our individual life stories and our particular worries and joys, and join in community to remember that there is something precious within each one of you, and there is more possible when we come together in the spirit of serving a love that is larger than any one of us. I particularly want to welcome all of you who have Jewish heritage, as this weekend is Rosh Hashanah, marking the beginning of the Jewish New Year. May the coming year be sweet. And I want to welcome everyone to this month of exploring the gift of welcome, which is our September theme. How do we receive this gift? How do we offer it? And why does it matter? I want to name that we gather today in a space which was built upon land that was once the territory of the Abenaki and Pennacook nations, who, like so many Native people in this country, did not cede this land and are a people for whom true justice and self-determination remain elusive. We acknowledge this truth so we do not forget it. We acknowledge this history even if we don't know how to fix it and there are no easy answers. But may the not knowing spur us to new learning and action toward our UU values of justice and integrity and toward right relationship with all people and the world around us. I invite you to look at your order of service, which lists all the wonderful people involved in making our service happen today, both those visible and up front and those behind the scenes. Please note that after the children's story, Jen Deldeo-Berry will offer a religious education opportunity downstairs. Just follow her down the aisle after the story. And every one of you is invited to stay for fellowship right outside these doors for coffee, treats, and conversation. And my challenge to you this week is to talk to someone you do not know well and to ask them this crucial question: flip-flops or sandals? But not just that. How late into the season do you continue to wear them? It is September. These questions are in the air. I do not want you to sidestep them. Please note that assisted listening devices and large print hymnals are available in the back of the sanctuary. Please ask an usher if you need assistance. I want to note that the flowers on our chancel have been given in honor of the 6th Street Mafia by Jim and Carlos, Stephen and Susan, Jane, Kavanaugh, and more. May you always find sunshine even on cloudy days. Please silence your cell phone if you have one, and it is now time for some announcements.
Good morning, everyone. There's lots of exciting things going on, so I would point you to your order of service, as well as our new fall brochure that you should all have in your pews in the hymn racks. And if you don't feel like looking at it right now, the Learning Associates during social hour will be outside in full apron and with trays, serving you up a delicious assortment of fun fall activities that you can check out in the brochure. Our fall retreat we've had a great response to the fall retreat. It is almost full, and today is the last day to register. So if you're interested in the fall retreat, those folks will also be outside as well. Check your order of service for some other exciting news. And I'm going to hand it off to Tom Berry for an announcement about our annual budget campaign.
Well, thank you, Jen. And I've asked my wonderful annual budget campaigners to join me. Good morning. My name is Tom Barry. I have the honor of chairing this year's annual budget campaign, which is our annual fund for operating of our wonderful community. I'm joined by Charlotte Ramsey, Anita Rosef, Mike McGrail, Lori Bilby in the audience. And let's see, we also have John Shagnon, Carla Cole, Paula Boyvin, who's in the audience today, and Mo O'Leary on our committee as well. So we've been working hard behind the scenes to start preparing for the upcoming campaign, and we're excited to introduce some new concepts and activities for this year's campaign, and I want to share a little bit about that. So one activity that we have typically used to start our campaign has been referred to as a, quote, starter party. This is a really common congregational stewardship practice where we invite the top donors by kind of pledge dollars to an event before the congregational kickoff. We share food and drink, and we hear from church leaders about the upcoming program year. At the end of that, we ask these generous donors to pledge so we can move into the campaign for the entire congregation with some, what I like to refer to as giving velocity. However, we all know that generosity is not defined only by the amount of dollars. So this year, we're taking a cue from the UUA Fair Share Giving Guide, which if you haven't looked at it, it's a really interesting document. It's available on the UUA website, and it will be available in some of our campaign documents. So we're holding the event under a new name called Sustainers Night. The guidelines of that UUA Fair Share Giving Guide define 4 levels of giving. Generally, sustainers are defined by giving 5% or more of household income. So in an effort to widen our stewardship circle, we would like to expand invitations to those individuals or households that meet those criteria. However, we don't know family income or household income, and we're not collecting that. So we need those individuals, those sustainers by percent, to opt in. And you can come talk to me. You can email the office at info@southchurch-uu.org to basically self-identify, and be invited to that event. So, in closing, I'd like to share that all pledges are important to sustain the life of our vibrant and growing community. And to honor that, we have a new event, the Celebration of South Church, coming, and it's congregation-wide. It will be coming in later October, and we'll be holding a raffle with food and drinks. And I'm not going to give you the raffle prizes yet, but there's more than one. And the hint is think about spending some time with loved ones or family or friends, either in the mountains or on the ocean. So stay tuned. I look forward to kicking off the congregational campaign in 2 weeks' time, and I'll share more information about that exciting event and raffle then. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, and my name is Ann Sherpick, and I have been asked to provide a testimony about the covenant groups, because it is the time of year where we can register, all of you can register for covenant groups. And I wanted to start by asking, and I guess I kind of just gave it away, but what do the following have in common? Poetry, resistance, porches and decks, eating popovers. So those are topics that were part of the covenant group discussions. What are covenant groups? First of all, maybe I should step back and say that covenant group programs are a nationwide UU adult education program, sometimes called small group ministry or chalice circle, and it is an integral part of this congregation's mission statement. That I got the mission out of the way. Now I'm going to share kind of more personal things. I was new to South Church in person about a year and a half ago. I was Zooming in from California before moving here, and I was passionate about meeting people. And so I joined Bob Vaccaro's covenant group and had no idea really what to expect. But I made the commitment to meet twice a month We happen to have met here at the church. Most of the covenants meet, I think, at people's homes, or there is also a Zoom group, especially for snowbirds who go away but want to be in connection. And so I joined, but I had no idea what to expect. Bottom line was I built incredibly deep connections immediately with the members of our covenant group. And I also came to understand what it means to live the values of the Unitarian Universalist congregation. This wasn't preachy, it wasn't educational in the sense of you-ism, but it's just the living values of how the groups are organized. And the format in brief is check-ins. We get a topic like poetry or resistance. We each share without making contributions or comments. Everyone shares. And then there's a second round of sharing, which is more interactive and engaging, where we each got to go deeper into each person's first responses to the questions. And the agenda is shared prior to the meeting. Some of us showed up with copious notes, which I did the first time, given my white prep school training. I felt I had to come with essays. After that, it was give or take. I would just show up, and some people would show up with notes, and it would be spontaneous conversations. Sometimes I was prepared and came out with new insights that I really didn't expect, and sometimes I came unprepared. Well, actually, most of the time I came unprepared, and just learned and listened. And what some of the comments I've seen online about this process, about the program, some of the feedback that's found online, is the trust, the safety. See, I set an alarm for myself. To be candid with each other. And the theme that came out from our group was vulnerability. Even though vulnerability was one of the topics one week, each week we kept saying, wow, we are getting really vulnerable here. And built amazing connections with the people, and was offered the opportunity, and I wanted to pass it forward, to be a convener, it's not even a leader, it's just a co-facilitator of these groups. So I encourage you, if you're looking for community, to get to know some people, to get to know yourself more deeply, sign up for the covenant groups. We will be wearing aprons to allow you to find us, to sign up, and we have ways of doing that, and I'm clearly over my time. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach me, but it is a powerful way to connect with our members of the community. Thank you.
Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not that circle, make it wider still, till it includes, embraces all the living. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
As we light this chalice here, we invite people at home to light a candle or chalice of their own. We light this chalice today with these words from Arthur Powell Davies. Here we are, all of us, all upon this planet, bound together in a common destiny, living our lives between the briefness of the daylight and the dark. Kindred in this, each lighted by the same precarious, flickering flame of life. How does it happen that we are not kindred in all things else? How strange and foolish are these walls of separation that divide us? Please stand if you are able and join me in reciting the mission statement printed in your order of service. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. we celebrate the worth and dignity of all people, inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community. Good morning. My name is Chris Kiper, and I'm one of a team of worship associates that have the honor of welcoming you today and serving South Church. My family lives with an amazing Wheaten Terrier. She could be accurately described as tenacious, spastic, and an expert welcomer. When anyone enters the house, she jumps uncontrollably on her hind legs, wagging her tail, singing her little song, paws out, attempting to hug the way that humans hug. The ritual is endearing and joyful to the point of becoming kind of annoying. But she could teach a PhD course on the effectiveness of positive, chaotic greeting strategies. When I ponder the gift of welcome, I immediately think of dogs. They could be considered the gold standard for measuring kindness, acceptance, and unconditional love. So why aren't we more like our canine friends? Why don't we as a society default to giving the benefit of the doubt, ecstatically embracing strangers, and offering unconditional, passionate welcome? Like many things, it's complicated. Unfortunately, fear, divisiveness, and differences are what get the most clicks, what sells the most advertising, and what systematically distracts us from our innate human solidarity. Manipulated narratives are often repeated and exaggerated until they become the zeitgeist, until they are actually believed by many. But we can believe whatever we want, whatever we find to be true. And I believe that humans are inherently similar and connected. We share 99.9% of the same identical DNA. I believe we share just as much of the same identical dreams and desires to love and to be loved and to simply live a good life together. So then how do we act on this belief of a sacred, shared humanness? How do we set our default mode to kindness and acceptance? How do we lean into welcome as an action verb? Not something we do passively, but something we actively and intentionally radiate. How do we become passionate, loving welcomers? I saw this cartoon drawing on Instagram, and it was of a dog greeting its human, and the way the illustrator had drawn it, you could see inside the dog. And there was a heart-shaped heart right where the heart goes in the dog, and there was a little string attached to it that went down to a pulley, and then up to another pulley, and then it connected to the tail. And as the heart was pulsing, it pulled this little string and made the little tail wag. Perhaps becoming an active welcomer is through the work of connecting our hearts to our minds, and then to our hands and our smiles and our eyes, so that our feelings of love become thoughts of love, become actions of love that show the world you are welcome here. Please rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, number 361.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open All right, it is time for the story for all ages, and so I welcome young people and those young at heart to come up. My name is Emily Samuel, and I am one of the religious education volunteers here at South Church. And this morning, we have a really special story. It was actually written by our young people at South Church during our summer RE time, which is a less structured time than what happens during the school year, and so we get to experiment with some really fun things. And one of the things that we experimented with this year was writing a story together. And then we turned it into kind of a little play. And so this happened over the course of 3 different Sundays. They were not 3 Sundays in a row, they were spread out, and the same kids were not there each week. But somehow we managed to come together as a community and still do it. And so here is the story. First, I'm gonna set the scene, so if my scenery person could come up. All right, Elowen's gonna hold this beautiful scenery for us up here. This story is called The Unitarian Universalist Caterpillars. Once upon a time, there was a caterpillar. He had so many legs and fingers that he was really good at making friendship bracelets. He would make many, many friendship bracelets and keep them in a treasure box. His treasure box was very full of friendship bracelets because he would make 3 at a time. He actually had dozens of treasure boxes because all his bracelets couldn't fit into just one. An interesting thing about these treasure boxes is that they would start to glow as they filled up. The caterpillar wasn't sure what was going on here, so he just kept making more bracelets and storing them in the glowing treasure boxes. One day, the fullest treasure box exploded with hundreds of friendship bracelets. The caterpillar was very sad because when the box exploded, all the friendship bracelets that he had worked on got frayed and ruined. The frayed, ruined friendship bracelets were now scattered across the rainforest in which he lived. The caterpillar was so upset that he started to cry. The other insects who lived nearby, but that's all of you guys, heard the caterpillar crying and got worried. They also started to cry, and for some reason, hum. All the insects humming together created a beautiful song, and everyone felt a bit better. The caterpillar felt encouraged and started to turn one of his friendship bracelets into a friendship cocoon. Here you go, caterpillar. All the other insects, that's you guys, began to clean up the friendship bracelets. They began to clean up the friendship bracelets. And they recycled the materials into new bracelets because they believed in working together and caring for the earth. Once the insects had most of the friendship bracelets back and repaired, they put all the bracelets into friendship cocoons that were stronger than the treasure chests. All the insects in the forest got to keep a friendship cocoon because they believe everyone should be treated fairly and kindly. The caterpillars used their friendship cocoons to meditate. When they emerged, they shared their self-discoveries with each other because they believed everyone should be free to search for what is true and right. The caterpillars spent more and more time in their friendship cocoons until one day, each emerged as a beautiful butterfly. Each one unique, each one important. The end.
During the month of September, our collection will be shared with Gather. Gather serves those in our community experiencing hunger by providing nutritious food through innovative distribution, a pantry market, mobile market, meals for kids, and a community produce sharing program. To learn more, visit gathernh.org. Please give as you are able. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. We're all gathered here and those far away. For this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
I invite us to gather our hearts and minds in a spirit of prayer or meditation. May you feel the earth beneath as it supports you. May you feel the love of this community as it surrounds you. May you feel your breath as it flows in and out of your body. Listen to your heartbeat. Listen to your heart. Witness what is within you and around you. Some difficult news, disasters around the world, Morocco, Libya, it weighs heavy. May we hold the people impacted whose lives were lost or turned upside down. There is so much grief. May we not lose sight of all that's happening in our world, the suffering, the challenge, and the human resilience that we witness. May we remember our human connection with all souls living in the midst of struggle. And may we also not lose sight of what is good in the world. On this day, in this place, in your life, in the brief moments of sweetness in our days, of being alive in the midst of it all, with these people around us in these bodies that we reside in with whatever measure of health or well-being we are experiencing today. May we pray for all who are going through difficulty near and far, and may we celebrate all that is beautiful and good. Let us hold it with love, moving through us in our thoughts and in our deeds as we anticipate this day and everything it holds. Amen. As we bring our hearts to this special communal time and to each other, and to our world and all that is in our world, I invite you in a moment to light a candle, a symbol of the Spirit within and among us. Please remember, if you are going through a difficult time, that I am here, Kirsten is here, your pastoral associates are here. If you need us, fill out a card in your pew, or come find me, or email me, or find them after the service. We are here for you. As we now light candles, may the flame guide us, lift us, and offer warmth for all that is among us. This outward symbol of an inner connection to that which matters most to you today.
Henri Nouwen. Hospitality means primarily the creation of a free space where the stranger can enter and become a friend instead of an enemy. Hospitality is not to change people, but to offer them space where change can take place. It is not to bring men and women over to our side, but to offer freedom, not disturbed by dividing lines. It is not to lead our neighbor into a corner where there are no alternatives left, but to open a wide spectrum of options for choice and commitment. It is not an educated intimidation with good books, good stories, and good works, but the liberation of fearful hearts so that words can find roots and bear ample fruit.
A light snow was falling and the streets were crowded with people. It was Munich in Nazi Germany. Susie, a German Jew, had been riding a city bus home from work when SS stormtroopers suddenly stopped the coach and began examining the identification papers of the passengers. Most were annoyed, but a few were terrified. Jews were being told to leave the bus and get into a truck around the corner. Susie watched from her seat in the rear as the soldiers systematically worked their way down the aisle. She began to tremble, tears streaming down her face. When the man next to her noticed that she was crying, he politely asked her why. "I don't have the papers you have. I am a Jew. They are going to take me." The man exploded, his voice filled with disgust. He began to curse and scream at her. "You stupid idiot," he roared. "I can't stand being near you." The SS men asked what the yelling was all about. "Damn her," the man shouted angrily. "My wife has forgotten her papers again. I'm so fed up. She always does this." The soldiers laughed and moved on. Susie never saw that man again. She never even knew his name. The story, which I heard through Reverend Kim Crawford Harvey, is called Stranger on the Bus. It was first told by Rabbi Lawrence Kushner, who offers it as an illustration of our capacity as humans to be, quote, messengers of the Most High, strangers with answers for each other in a world that targets some and divides us all. We understand that ordinary people are messengers of the Most High, he writes. They go about their tasks, their daily tasks, in holy anonymity, often even unknown to themselves. Yet, if they had not been there, if they had not said what they said or did what they did, it would not be the way it is now. We would not be the way we are now. Never forget that you too, yourself, may be a messenger. We forget the power that even as strangers we can have in each other's lives. The possibilities that are available to us when we are present and open and aware to the people and situations around us. When we remember we belong to each other across divisions and that what we do matters. I think about that unnamed man in the story. What it must have been like living in such a pivotal time in history. What it must have been like to witness on a scale perhaps not seen before this brutal exclusion of some to consolidate the power of a few. To witness this massive exploitation of this ancient human vulnerability to scapegoat some in order to create cohesion among the rest. I wonder what it must have been like to live steeped in those kinds of messages that some people are not okay. And I wonder what made this man who he was. I wonder how many times he had to choose to reconnect with his truth. No, that person is not separate. No, this person is just as worthy as I am. How many thousands of tiny daily decisions he must have made to keep his heart open, to hold onto his humanity and keep his spirit whole. So that somehow in this moment of truth, he was able to see himself and his seatmate as belonging to each other and to act from that place bravely. I want to be that brave. We live in a world that is also divided. That ancient human vulnerability to exclude, divide, separate, wall off, that is getting exploited in our time too. We see it everywhere around us, particularly around race and gender identity in these days, to a degree I'm not sure I've seen before in my lifetime. But then again, that general trend has been in the water for a long, long time, this plot line of excluding some for the benefit of others, building alliances among a majority by excluding a minority, this scheme of playing on this ancient human tribal hardware to manipulate opinions and attitudes and actions. I saw it as early as grade school, the scapegoating of this or that kid. They didn't talk right or look right or do the right thing somehow. Often it was temporary. Someone would be out one week, back in the next, maybe because they chose to conform. But by the time high school rolled around, it felt different, more ingrained, maybe. With this question in the air, who's in, who's out? It's like a force field. Who is good to be around? Who is not good for your social status? Who do you want to connect with, and who should you perhaps steer clear of? Sometimes that was me. Maybe sometimes that was you. Or maybe sometimes you were on the other side of that dynamic, witnessing. Sometimes that was me too. That also did not feel good. In fact, it was exhausting just writing this. Who wants to walk down that memory lane? Especially because too often the ones on the outside got blamed for being on the outside. Why don't you change? And the ones on the inside got frightened into conforming to whatever the thing was you were supposed to conform to, how you look, how you talk, what you care about. But no one came out a winner. Everybody who went through that lost a little bit of ourselves, a little bit of our connection to each other, our connection to our own well-being in the process. And it has left us all a little hungry for belonging, hungry for wholeness. And heartbreakingly, all of us, every human being that went through this, we are vulnerable to repeating that process. When we are hungry to fit in, when we don't know how else to be whole, we are more vulnerable to creating a sense of connection simply by excluding someone else. It is happening in our world in so many places right now. But stay with me now, because there is a hopeful part. The effects of hard things do not have to be permanent. Healing is possible, transformation happens, growth of spirit can change the way things look. As exemplified by Buddhist priest and a public speaker named Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams, themselves Black and queer, two identities that place them right in the center of our culture's struggles with this topic, whose own life itself has been a journey of healing and inspiration. Reverend Angel speaks to the alchemy that's possible when we, as they put it, when we get quiet enough to hear ourselves and still enough to feel ourselves, and perhaps feel each other. Reverend Angel shares a story about a member of their community who was, as they put it, difficult to get along with, easily agitated, not particularly welcoming. Reverend Angel met with them and could see the tension in this person's body, in their face, in their voice. When Reverend Angel said to them, "You know, we're not going to put you out," they could see this person visibly relax, their whole demeanor change to more openness and more receptivity. She notes that most of the time we are living with this threat of being cast out. We don't even always know it's there. But it is in our workplace, in our schools, in our families sometimes. But a key piece of reclaiming our wholeness is reclaiming our belonging to ourselves, Reverend Angel says. Sometimes we just need a little help to do that. And I think the gift of welcome in this congregation can be part of that help. I love the fact that since its inception, Unitarian Universalism has been so much about inclusion. You are welcome here. You in particular, with your particular style and idiosyncrasies, with your particular beliefs and certainties and uncertainties, with all the things you feel good about in yourself and all the things you may wish were not in you, you are welcome here. For some of us, it can be hard to accept that gift, to really take it in. Hey, maybe this is different. Not perfect, but different from some of the experiences I had before. Maybe I can let down my guard just a little. And I will tell you, if that is hard for you, I can relate. But there is something special here. There is an authentic welcome, not perfect, but real. And what if you could dwell in it, like drink it in? Let it begin to heal whatever wants healing and fill whatever wants filling. Receive that gift of welcome. And also, we don't have to stay there because there is more possible for any of us. There's a pithy quote from Universalist minister named Edwin Markham, poet named Edwin Markham. He drew a circle that shut me out. He writes, heretic, rebel, thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that drew him in. A few weeks ago, I shared with you a through line I heard most concisely articulated by Reverend Scott Taylor. We have this deep history of widening the circle of inclusion through embracing humanism, earth-based religions, religious differences of all kinds. And yet, even in our theologically widening circle, there are ways we are a lot alike. So we have the opportunity to widen that circle in yet more ways, take down other kinds of walls that divide. For example, by confronting ways we have centered whiteness or upheld institutional racism in this movement. By learning how to truly welcome people of every class backgrounds. By, for example, opening up to people whose religious beliefs sound a lot like those you may have left when you came here. Widening the circle means opening up a gap, like literally at coffee hour, creating a gap in the circle of affirmation and inviting in the person hovering on the outside. A friend of mine once shared this analogy, a bagel versus a croissant. Thinking about that in a group. It can also mean opening up a gap in yourself, meaning creating time and space to connect with people who are not so much like you, here or elsewhere. With people who might not affirm your sense of belonging to this particular tribe. People with whom you might feel a little awkward at first and who may feel a little awkward with you because you are on different sides of some cultural line. Political, racial, class, generational lines. I wonder where your edge is, which of those lines deter you. Sometimes it's just talking to someone you do not yet know. But in the gap of any kind, we create space to hear ourselves and feel ourselves. And the magic, the alchemy happens when you stay, when you don't believe the stories your resistance may be generating in your head, like, I don't have time for this conversation, this is not the right person, this is too awkward. Don't believe those stories and they get weaker, and your sense of belonging to yourself gets stronger. Your life gets bigger, and more and more and more people begin to feel like they are yours. This kind of welcome is a mission, maybe even a dare. A dare to lean into your edge, grow your comfort zone, be a spiritual warrior. At coffee hour, at the birthday picnic with your extended family who are not all on the same side of your politics. In your workplace break room, at the grocery store, spaces to practice noticing how we see others. Ask ourselves, who are my people? And connect with that deeper truth in our hearts and minds. These are my people too. And bit by bit, become more whole. We live in a pivotal time. We need people joining across all our divisions to solve the problems we need to solve. We need messengers of the Most High, connectors of the Most High, listeners, communicators, translators, bridge builders. What tiny little heart and mind opening thoughts and actions are you called to practice? How are you called to extend your comfort zones? John Mackin has written, "When the bell tolls for you, do the things you think you cannot do. You will feel your resistance, as well as your hope, your dignity, and your courage grow stronger. You will someday face harder choices that very well might require more courage. And when those moments come, and if you choose well, your courage will be recognized by those who matter most to you." How do you want to be brave? Let's build a new way together. Amen. Let us join together in our closing hymn, Building a New Way. It is number 1017. It is in your teal hymnal.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are here again.
We are going to try something a little different today for our benediction. After our closing words, I invite you to find your way over to someone you don't yet know, a friend you haven't yet met. Introduce yourself and say hello. You don't have to talk long. It can be about flip-flops. You can just say hi and how are you, that's fine. But I want to encourage you to do it real. Do it awkward if that's how it happens to be, but remember to do it with an open heart. I'd like to invite you to join hands, but I'm not going to do that because I know some of us in our post-ish COVID time may not feel comfortable with that. So I invite you to join elbows with someone near you. You can, why don't you let's rise, because that'll make it easier for us to find someone we don't know well afterwards. So I invite you to join elbows with someone in some way. That's beautiful. And if you're at home, I invite you to join elbows with the screen, because you are with us. It looks great from here. The elbow you are touching, these words are from Reverend Erica Hewitt. The elbow you are touching belongs to a person whose heart is sometimes tender, whose skin is sometimes thin, whose eyes sometimes fill with tears, and whose laughter is a beautiful sound. The elbow you are touching belongs to a person who is seeking wholeness and trusts you are doing the same. As you leave this sanctuary, may your heart remain open, may your voice remain strong, and may your elbows or your hands remain outstretched. Amen. Go in peace, and don't forget to talk to someone after the postlude.